Hello everyone, good day. I hope you are doing fine. So today's lesson is going to be a writing lesson for Cardiff level students. All right, Cardiff level students. We are gonna talk about. Okay, we're gonna talk about academic writing. Okay, in this lesson we are going to focus on academic writing. We're going to learn like general idea. We're going to have a general idea about what is academic writing. We're going to focus on like some characteristics related to academic writing, and after that we're going to see who is like the real academic writer as a person, what is like the characteristics of the academic writer. We're going to see what like two things that are important in academic writing. These two things are like argument and analysis. It's a bit like a lot of information. I hope you'll be able to take it all in. So academic writing, let's get started. What is academic writing? It is a form of a language. It is used by people who want to communicate in an academic context. Using written means, of course, written materials, written things, all right? So when you are using a written materials in an academic context, what is an academic context? It is like a faculty or a college or a research paper or a MA degree or MA thesis or dissertation or something like that. It is called academic context. In this context, it is formal in terms of everything, all right? This context is focused on, like, it is formal in relation to, in terms of relationship, like between a professor and a student. It is formal. In terms of expectation, so you are expecting something formal. Somebody is expecting something formal from you. About thinking, about performance, your performance should be like again formal. About competition between for example, two students, it should be formal. And it also, this academic writing, it also includes the writing assignments that we give you as a homework. All right. So academic writing, it is an assignment given in an academic setting. All right. Characteristics of academic writing. We have some different kinds of characteristics. Planning and searching. For example, as a start, before you're doing anything related to academic writing, it must be related to, you must like do your plan, you must do your search, right? In writing, you must search, you must do very well. You must search about everything, you must find details, you must find resources, references, all right? And plan before doing anything related to academic writing. And of course, your tone inside your academic writing, it must be formal, it must be really formal. You cannot use like the language that you see in, for example, TV shows or the language you hear in songs or whatever. It must be really formal when you are using that in academic writing. Use of the third person, usually. Third person, it must be like, it means you cannot use I or me all the time, or usually it's not used, I or me. You are like a third person who is joining this topic, who looks at this topic from an outside, like an outsider, and you can use he or she said, he said, okay? But this is like a third person view. Your view to the topic is like a third person. You must focus about the problem, about the idea, okay, under investigation. The idea under focus, it must be like, you should have a clear focus on that, all right? Approach or deductive reasoning. Your approach to the topic, it must be very logical, okay? You can move from ideas one by one, step by step. You must focus on logic. Reasoning here means logic, okay? Precise word choice. Precise word choice, it is related to the language that we are talking about. Precise, it means accurate, okay? When you are talking about engineering, for example, you must use some good vocabulary related to engineering or good vocabulary related to medicine, all right? Precise word choice, like you have to search the keywords, the most important primary words that you want to use in your topic. These are the most common characteristics of your academic writing. One more very important idea about this academic writing is complexity and HOT. HOT stands for high order thinking, all right? when you are talking about high order thinking, or when the topic that you're dealing with is complex enough, it is complicated enough, okay, it requires high order thinking. Your thinking should not be the same like the readers that who are reading like your essay or article or whatever. So your thinking must be different. You must have critical thinking, reflective thinking, creative thinking, logical thinking, okay? You must show something new, even if the topic that you are writing about is kind of different, for example, you must show some different ideas, new ideas related to that topic, all right? So your thinking must be higher, must be different, must be more focused on complex things, complex ideas in this idea. One example about that, one example is like a good teacher. He has the ability to explain complex ideas, complicated ideas, using understandable or relatable language, okay? Related language to the topic being presented. When a teacher is teaching you something, he makes it very simple. It is complex, but he has different kind of thinking, or high order thinking. We say higher order thinking, HOT, and he makes things simpler for you. Like you must deal with the reader who is reading your writing as he doesn't know anything about the subject. This is how you must deal with that. Two very important ideas about writing again. In your academic writing, it must contain two things. It must contain argument and analysis. So first, argument. We have some ideas about how to use an argument in your academic writing. An argument means something carefully arranged and supported presentation of a viewpoint. You have a viewpoint, you have an opinion, and you arrange your ideas, okay? You support your presentation with these ideas, and you talk about, you explain your viewpoint. Purpose, okay? When you are arguing, you must have a goal, you must have an aim, all right? You are not trying to win this argument, but you are trying to win the readers, the people who are reading your writing. In this sense, they are reading it, and it is, you must get them to see your idea. You must get these people to see your opinion, your perspective, your way of way of viewing this subject, or your viewpoint. You have a purpose from this writing, and this purpose is this one. Courtroom analogy. You know what is like a lawyer and a judge and something. You must compare your academic writing when you are focusing on an argument. You must compare it to an, like, you are a lawyer and you are defending somebody, or you are a lawyer and you are like against somebody, okay? Okay, you must compare it to this kind of thing. Keep this in mind, courtroom analogy. Stating your opinion is not enough. If you always say I think, or I believe, I think, I believe in your writing, of course this is not enough. You must add to your argument, you must add some facts or some evidence, okay? So that your audience can be persuaded, they can be convinced with your ideas. How about analysis? When you make analysis in your academic writing, that's a lot of information, I know. When you are writing an academic text, this text must be the result of analysis. You know what is analysis already. It means when you are analyzing something, you must focus on the questions, how and why. How is this happening? Why is this happening? How come this happened to this person? Or how come this happened to whatever? And about the subject, you must focus on how and why, not much on what questions. You cannot ask a lot of what questions. So it must involve, analysis must involve three things. 1, 2, 3. First one, you must have an open inquiry, an open question. The answer is not known to this question, and it must have like multiple or different kinds of suggestions that you might answer. You must break the subject. You have a for example, very big subject. You must break it apart and study this subject very closely, and you must leave some multiple suggestions open for this topic. Identify meaningful parts of the subject, the most important parts, the key items that you will be discussing in this subject in your academic writing. Examine these separate parts and determine how they relate to each other. When you break it apart, when you break your subject apart, you must focus more on the separate parts. Like you have 20 parts on your subject, you must focus on them like one by one, and how they work together, how they relate to each other. One more idea about concluding the analysis is that how they work together, or how they fit or how they don't fit together, these parts. When you are against something, you can say that they don't fit. You can try to convince your readers that it doesn't fit together, it doesn't work together, to create some larger effect. So it fits together, it makes a bigger effect, or it doesn't make any bigger effect, any bigger meaning. For this question, I want to give you 1 minute to focus on, or maybe try to guess, what makes you a good academic writer. Okay, we have some qualities. I'll show you some qualities of a person, like a good academic writer. Think about it, try to guess like what makes you a good academic writer for 1 minute. Okay, let's see. Qualities of a good academic writer. I'm not sure if you guessed like a lot of these or one or two of these, right? The first thing that makes you a good academic writer is that you are a very good time manager. You can manage your time very good, in a very good way. And in order to be able to do that, you should start using stopwatch. You should like put some time, for example 10 minutes, and try to write an introductory paragraph or a body paragraph in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Okay, if you give yourself like 1 hour or open time to write one paragraph, you will not achieve much. Okay, but for example during exams, all of our students, all of you, can write like an essay in 60 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, or maximum 70 minutes. You can write a 5-paragraph essay. It means like one paragraph takes you like 10 minutes, right? So under pressure or when the time is limited, you can do better. This is what makes a good academic writer, and this requires a lot of practice, by the way. You must understand the key terminology, the key words, the key vocabulary, jargon words, specific words in the topic, and in this criteria, in the topic that you're discussing. Of course, an academic writer must apply like different kinds of thinking. The most important one is critical thinking. It creates an overall framework: intro, main, body, and conclusion. Of course, this is the model or the body of the essay, how the essay looks like. Of course, you have all of these: the framework, the layout. Structures discussion within paragraphs. Inside your body paragraphs, you must have different kinds of discussions. For example, first paragraph, body paragraph, you must discuss something special, something different. Second body paragraph should be different, all right? So you must have your own different discussions inside these paragraphs. Signpost the reader continually. We're going to talk about like this one in more detail after a few minutes or a minute. Signpost, I'll show you what is a signpost. It means like showing the way to people. We're going to go back, I said, like in details to this one. Proofreads carefully. Of course, after writing anything as an academic writer, you must proofread. You must read again and check your mistakes: spelling mistakes, punctuation mistakes, grammar mistakes, model mistake, layout. Uses a referencing system consistently. Of course, we're going to talk at the end. We're going to talk about referencing. You must mention if you got any resources from outside, any outside references. You must show them in your academic writing. Assumes the reader knows nothing about the subject at all. Of course, in your introductory paragraph, you must tell the people what you're talking about. You must explain what you're talking about as if the reader knows nothing. Okay, you start from scratch, you start from nothing, talking about it, and writes clearly. Of course, you must be understood. For example, sometimes it is handwriting, it must be clear, or according to logic or ideas as well, it must be really clear. Here, types of language in academic writing. Formal language, of course, your language should be really formal. You cannot use, I said, like you cannot use straight language or the language you hear in TV shows or films or whatever. Precise, you must use precise language, accurate language, talking about these things, like about the topic that you have. structured when you are using like the language, the structure of your language, or the structure again of your essay should have a formal one. Unbiased, when you are writing an academic whatever essay or something, you must be unbiased, you must be neutral, you must take like 100% this side or 100% the other side, you must be neutral. Responsible, again, you cannot be hurting anybody or any part who is listening or who is reading to you. You must be responsible in this case. And of course your language must be supported with proofs and evidence and a lot of references, of course. Let's go to signposting. Signpost means this one. Okay, signpost means this one. This is a signpost, it shows you the way, something or some arrow that shows you the way. Signposting is an academic term in academic writing. You must remember, you know where you are going with your assignment. You have a goal, you have a place that you want to reach, okay, in your assignment, and you need to signpost your readers. You must show them how, you must help them or show them how to arrive to the same view that you have, to the same opinion that you have. Okay, this is what we call signposting. You know where you are, you know where you started, you know where you're going, and you're showing your readers that this is the place we are reaching. It means you cannot go from, for example, step A or point A to point S. Okay, you should start with point A and B and C, or point A to point Z, for example. You should start step by step points. You must use clear signposts, and I have some examples for that, to guide your reader through your discussion, like academic terms, academic, for example, nevertheless, or although, or after that, or then. There are some like easy ones and some more academic, more advanced ones. I'll show you some of them later. Never make sweeping statements. When you are writing an academic writing, you must not move from, like I said, like from point A to point X or to point Z and come back again to point C and go back to point. You must not make these kind of sentences, these kinds of statements. Always back up what you're saying with evidence. Again, this is the most important thing here. Examples and evidence and proof to show that you are actually doing something. These are some examples. You can take a photo of this. For example, as well as, or subsequently, or finally, or yet another, or otherwise in that case, or in that case, or indeed. So all of these are some kind of academic signposts. It shows you where we're going, okay? In order to, it shows you like the aim, the goal. Why are you doing this? In order to finish earlier, in order to, for instance, and particularly, which one is, for example, more formal and which one is like more informal. For instance, or for example, it is not really formal, but particularly, after particularly, you can give an example, but it is more formal. Finally, right? If you use finally and then you come back to point B or point A, it doesn't work this way, okay? This is the kind of a signpost. Of course, some of these are to show contrast, some of these are to move to another point, okay? Some of these are to compare, like give a different idea, whereas, again, as an illustration, when you're giving an example, this is really academic, this is really high quality language you're using, you can use. This part will talk about referencing. In this part, you have two kinds of referencing in your academic writing. We have in-text referencing and reference list. All right, in-text referencing and reference list. In-text referencing, you just put it at the end of your text. When you are writing something, of course, you must add the quotation marks. The novels revolve around Harry Potter, an orphan who discovers at the age of 11 that he is a wizard living within the ordinary world of non-magical people. Who wrote this? The person who wrote this, and the year. Only this you should add, and of course the quotation marks. If you have like a lot of reference and you need to write the second type of referencing is a reference list. It means like at the end of your writing you must write 4 or 5 different references. Of course it must be alphabetical order when you have like different names. You start with the name of the author or the writer and the year of the publication, then the name of the article or the name of the book or something, whatever like you're talking about here, or maybe an essay, the title, Oxford Publishing, it means like the place of publishing or the publisher that we took our information from. So this is at the end of the writing. It's like a reference list. Of course, not only one name. You can add like 4 or 5 or 10 names if it is a reference list. If you have like 2 or 3, you can add it inside the writing, inside your academic writing, and just put it at the end of the quote that you took. I have as a review, I have one paragraph. I'll give you 2 minutes to read this paragraph. It is one academic paragraph. It is a body paragraph from an essay. Okay. The essay's title is "Why Do People Snore?" Snoring is like the noise that you make when you are sleeping. Okay. Why do people snore? Take 2 minutes to read this, and then I'll tell you what's there inside this one. Okay, let's see. Like I said, this is one body paragraph from an essay, maybe like the 3rd or the 4th body paragraph. It is also a well-known fact. It means we have seen some information before, and this is some new fact, some new evidence, some new information. All right? Men snore more than women. This is like a topic sentence inside this writing. And again, when you look at signpost, which is the most important thing here, due to, according to, what else? A lot of language like this in this one. Contribute to, inescapable fact when you're giving reason. In fact, okay, as a concluding sentence in this one. When you are talking about precise language, like jargon words or precise language, again, if you check here, you have some biology, difficult words, enlarged adenoids or cleft palate, some physical evidence about why men snore more than women. Hereditary, you're giving a lot of examples, some examples. And here, for example, you have quotation marks because this is copied from somewhere, from here to here. This is the name of the article that this was taken from, How to Stop Snoring. And again, for referencing at the end, we have the names of where we got these, all right? So a lot of information, again, topic sentence, concluding sentence. Like I said, this is one example of an academic paragraph. It is taken from an essay. So again, as a final thought or final review, we talked about the definition of academic writing. We talked about why we need academic writing, the characteristics of academic writing, and as a person, what makes you a good academic writer. We have different qualities as a person. And of course, when you are doing academic writing, you must focus on your argument and your analysis of the topic. One of the most important ideas was high order thinking. Your thinking must not be the same like the reader who is reading your academic writing, your essay or writing. And one thing is about referencing. We talked about referencing at the end. You already know that. That will be all for today. Thank you so much for listening.